You're the guy people call when they need a helping hand, moving furniture, unloading a truck. But lately, your shoulder's been acting up, and you're the one who's calling for help. And that's the moment you realize you can no longer shoulder the load.
The Joint and Spine Center is Cincinnati's leading destination for orthopedic care, with a range of surgical and non-surgical treatments. So when a moment has the power to change the rest of your life, go to the one place with the power to change it for the better, the Christ Hospital Health Network. This changes everything.
The Pound This Podcast is brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is the Pound This Podcast, episode 705, Shay's Weight Loss Journey Updates.
I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to get started.
What should I meal prep every week?
How do I get those sweet booty gains?
Inspiration for your healthy lifestyle. The Pound This Podcast with Amanda Valentine.
Hey friends, thank you so much for listening to the Pound This Podcast. I'm Amanda Valentine. If you're brand new here, thank you so much for checking out this podcast. A little info about me. I have been obese for most of my life, yo-yo dieted for a decade. Over the past decade, I have lost over 100 pounds and maintained. I have also quit my job to become a full-time podcaster and personal trainer / nutrition coach. I got a bunch of certifications and now I'm making this my full-time gig. It's pretty crazy. So if you want to support this podcast, support me so I can do some more great podcasts to help you along with your health and wellness journey. You can find my Patreon, which is a second podcast, which also sounds like porn. That is called Pound Town. So if you go to patreon.com/Poundtown podcast, you can support this podcast by getting a listen at my other podcast, which is me doing a deeper dive with some of my favorite guests from Pound This, also people from my personal life so far. I've had Josh and Shannon, who have been on this podcast a ton on. I've had my best friend Colleen, going to have my husband on. So many people I've worked with in radio over the past 20 years. So it's uncensored, a little deeper dive to give you a little something extra for supporting this podcast. All of that is in the show notes if you would like to support that. But back to Pound This, right? We got to get into this guest. I do have to let you know though, that there was a little bit of technical hiccups because, that's what happens in the virtual world recording this. So get past those a little bit. I tried to clean them up as much as possible at the beginning of this interview. I loved speaking with Brian Keene. This is a fantastic podcast. I hope you listen to the whole thing and get some great information out of it. And here we go. Thank you so much for listening to the Pound This Podcast. I'm Amanda Valentine. Shay/Shannon is back. What up, girl?
Shay Shan.
Shay Shannon.
Shay Shannon. I have so many names on this podcast.
I know. Oh, man. How have you been?
Good. Just living my life,
Yep. So we chatted a few weeks ago. We had a kind of a break here because I was in Nashville at a podcast conference, and then you injured your car.
Yep. Backed it right into a pole.
Yeah.
And I was sober, everyone.
Yeah, I'm glad you weren't drunk driving.
Nope, sure wasn't. Just don't always rely on your backup cam, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, no. Well, to be fair, you showed me the picture of this pole is in the middle of a drive, it's in the middle of the road.
It's literally between two connected driveways. So I'm just backing my sweet ass out of this driveway right into the pole. So, and now I have a rental car for 2 weeks and it's nice. It's like a brand new car and I want to vomit every time I drive it.
Why?
It's not mine.
Oh, what kind of car is it?
I'm so nervous. It's a Nissan Sentra.
Oh.
I had never even really paid attention to those. It's very nice, but I don't like driving cars that are not mine because if some shit goes down, it's a whole situation.
Yeah.
So.
I had a rental car for a month and a half after I got in a car accident a few years ago. And it was I can't remember what the brand, who it is, but it's the Cube car. You know what I'm talking about? Those cars that look like little boxes really with wheels on them. Ones. Yeah. And it was bare bones car. It was just I'm surprised it didn't have a cassette player in it.
Oh
and
my God.
I did not care about riding that thing hard.
Oh,
whatever. This thing is a little shit box. So, I didn't hurt. I've had plenty of rental cars. And so, it wasn't abusive to it, but I was not very worried of oh no, I don't want to mess this thing up. So
new car, I'd be like, whatever, but it's real nice.
So last time we chatted, you opened up about how you were, struggling because you had gained some weight back, and you're having, some blocks with that. And I do appreciate very much your vulnerability of talking about that, and it's something that I think that a lot of us have gone through, we are going through, or will go through probably in the future. And so I recommend everybody go back and check out that episode to hear that conversation. But I did ask if people wanted to send voice memos and kind of give you words of encouragement of things of, when things are getting tough, things that help them out, or just to just kind of, be like, you've been on this podcast for a year and a half now, almost 2 years, kind of, sharing your journey and everything that you're going through of, not only like weight loss, but just the mental aspects of living a healthier life and feeling comfortable in your own body and, moving your body and relationship with food. I mean, the whole thing. And I know so many people like love that you're on this podcast. So I wanted to give them the opportunity to say something back. So I'm going to play you a couple of these messages if that's cool with you. All right, here we go. Let's make sure I got this all correct. This is a new thing for me. All right, here we go.
Hey, Amanda and Shannon. This is Julie from near Toronto, Canada, on a lovely walk, having just listened to the podcast. And I just wanted to send a message to Shannon saying that I love the podcast. I really appreciate Shannon's insights and your discussions every week. And I love, Shannon, how you're on a journey of self-compassion and friendliness towards yourself. I always love to hear your insights. So I just wanted to thank you for that and let you know that you have many people cheering you on, including from the Great White North. It's a beautiful day here today, and I wish you well, and I look forward to hearing more from you guys. Thanks so much. Take care.
So that was from Julie in Toronto, and I have another message from Stephanie.
Hey, this message is for Shay. I've listened to every episode you've been in. You're a fucking badass. 15 pounds or 90 pounds doesn't make you a worthy person or girlfriend or hair lady or podcaster or anything. You're amazing, and I just want to reiterate that to you, and you're an inspiration to all of us, no matter what you weigh or what you feel like or look like. And we're here. We're so happy to hear from you whenever you're on the podcast, and just be patient with yourself. Love you.
So those are some encouraging messages that you got.
That's awesome.
So I hope that helps. And I mean, I feel those things too. And I'm sure everybody that's listening that was like, oh, I don't want to send a voice memo. Because that's a lot of people. That's most people. That's me listening to other podcasts of like, I should do that. I'm like, no, I won't.
You're like, no.
To be, just, appreciate it and to know that, that you're just an amazing person, and gaining weight or losing weight or any of that doesn't take away from any of that, and how, appreciated and loved you are. So thank you again for coming on here and sharing so much.
Thank you guys for being so kind.
So with that being said, what else has been going on? I know that you just came from Pilates this morning. How was that?
Sure did. Yeah, Shelly murdered me as usual. So, God. Yeah.
I miss my Pilates because of just still recovering from this concussion that I've been afraid to get on the reformer, although the ringing in my ears is almost all the way gone. So I'm getting better with that. So hopefully, I'm hoping in the next few weeks, I feel good to come back to Pilates, and I'm sure now that I haven't done Pilates in a couple months, I'm sure it is just going to just smoke the hell out of my core.
I know. It's like every time we do the ab stuff, I'm like, is this ever going to hurt less?
Yeah. It usually hurts less, at least the next few days. The soreness isn't as bad, at least in my experience.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I just mean when you're doing it. I'm like, oh
yeah.
my God, I can't do anymore.
Yeah. Well, you've been doing that, and you've been doing new workouts too.
Hell yeah. So yeah, now I'm training with Allie, who was on the podcast. She's actually one of my clients. So yeah, and I really love it. There's definitely a different aspect to having a female trainer, which not dogging on male trainers at all, but I think as a woman it's just a little different to have a female trainer. So I've really liked that.
Yeah, I've personally never had a female personal trainer. I did come work. So for everybody curious, it's Allie Thule that she was on this podcast. Let me look up the podcast number here real quick. I can do that while I'm chatting. Of that, I went and worked out with her. Oh, was it 2 weeks ago now? And I'm trying to make that a point too, to kind of go train with other trainers and kind of do other different workouts and kind of see everybody's style and where they're at, especially people that have been on this podcast. And it is. And that's, I think it's just such an important point of you bringing up of like, when you are looking for a gym or a studio to work out at or a personal trainer or all of those things of like, having one experience with one thing doesn't mean that it's that way everywhere. Like that's where like I had a bad CrossFit experience, but that doesn't mean CrossFit's necessarily bad at every place you go, or it just also doesn't mean that CrossFit's bad for everyone. It just isn't the right fit for me. I'm not into doing Olympic lifts because I hurt myself enough alone. I mean, I fell off of a Swiss ball and got a concussion. So I'm like, I don't know if I should be like doing some crazy ass lifts, but to, you know, just kind of explore and try different things and work with a male, work with a female and kind of find and know that maybe you did something for a couple of years and maybe that doesn't last for forever that way either.
Yeah. It's similar to like, I feel like it's kind of the way that your weight loss journey evolves. Sometimes the things that you do in fitness kind of evolve.
Definitely.
Like you want to go on to something different or do something different. And yeah, I mean, it keeps things interesting and keeps you challenged.
So the previous episodes, the one where we discussed about, you struggling with weight gain was episode 699. And the episode with Allie was episode 697, for anybody wanting to go back and listen to those. And I had a ton of fun working out with her. It's different than the way that I have been working out for a while now, but I used to work out more similar to how she trains. And again, it was good. I was sore as hell just because I don't work out that way as much anymore. And that's where even today, this morning, I was at the Y working out, and which is funny because people are like, "What? You have a whole different gym membership and you work at a gym?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but the gym I work at is almost a half hour from my house. The Y is like 2 minutes from my house."
Yeah.
So it's like when I want to get a workout in for myself, and it doesn't, my schedule at the gym isn't conducive to working out. It just makes more sense for me to work out closer to my house. But even just how I was working out today compared to how I've worked out in previous times I've worked out at the Y, to how I work out differently when I'm at Cincy 360 to work out when I was going to Fit Next. And like, it's just constantly evolves and changes. And I think that we all get into this mindset of like, I did this before and it worked, so now I need to do this thing that I know, quote unquote, worked for me before. And it just like, I mean, if you did something pre-COVID and now you're trying to do this, I mean, I would love to see, and there has to be research done of like how our brains have all changed in the past like year and a half, 2 years of like, we're different people. There's no way anybody is the same freaking person in any sort of way. I don't know how anybody could be unaffected mentally from all of this. And there's just no way, unless you're just like, I don't know, like a cyborg being. Like, I don't know how you can't be affected.
Unless you're a superhuman.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, and it just won't freaking end either. Like, my God.
Dude, I'm like, feel like I'm reliving the height of COVID again.
Really?
Like I'm just like at work, it's like just again, like the things that like, that's all clients will talk about again. So then that's all I'm talking about for 40 hours a week.
Do you have to wear a mask again at work?
No.
Okay.
I'm guessing that unless the state mandates it again, they won't make us. But there's a lot more clients wearing masks, and I'm trying to be respectful if they're wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them don't want me to wear a mask if they're wearing a mask, like they're just doing that for them. But I want my clients to feel safe, because I don't want it to be a situation where people don't come in because they don't feel safe. So yeah, it's just interesting all over again.
I know. That's where it's hard to because of last year, like I'd say towards the end of summer, I'm like, I deleted Facebook. I'm back on Facebook, but not that much. As soon as I start seeing people fighting, I'm out. I kind of just go and try to update the stuff that I'm doing on there and then tap out of that. But I still am I haven't watched the news. I don't really listen to the news anymore. And I think part of that is a hard turn from my job being in broadcasting so long and having to be on top of everything that I'm like, I would prefer not to just have everything going on in the world in my head right now. I got my own shit to worry about. And not that this stuff isn't important, and especially just how overwhelming it gets and just all of the fighting between people. I don't know. That's hard for me. I don't want to be uninformed, but I also don't want a slew of bunch of opinions just punching me in the face. Like, it seems like hard to just get like factual information of like, this is what's happening without it being editorialized, without somebody having an opinion attached to it. So I know there's a lot more going on than I know. And that's where people will bring up stuff to me at the gym. And like, I had no idea that was going on. Like, I didn't know that people could be losing their jobs in the next month because their job is like, if you don't get vaccinated, then you're going to get fired. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. And I was like, oh my God, like it's always something. I'm like, I don't know. Just think about just mental health and wellness of like everything we've been through. And now we're in this new phase of fighting and new things to be angry about and be scared about. Of like, that's where I feel like so much of like, eating cheesecake sounds pretty freaking rad right now instead of eating broccoli. Like, it's just one of those things of like the stress doesn't end, and some of these things kind of have to hit the back burner. But that's where I think of like exercise and doing those things can be a stress reliever if you find the right way and the right thing, and it does help your mental health. Because God, man, we're just like freaking going through it. It's just
a continuation of 2020. Love it.
I guess.
Love to see it.
Right? Yeah, but in its own weird, twisted, new way. And it's just like, not that I have, not to turn this all into a COVID conversation, but I mean, this is our lives of like, not that I expect the disease to go away, but you would think that, you would hope that we could find some middle ground in conversations and not screaming at each other one way or another. And like, I don't know. My brain just turns off and I'm like, I'm not entering the chat.
Just like, there's so many other things to talk about, but that's just like all because that's in the forefront. That's like what everybody wants to talk about.
I mean, we're talking about it now.
I know. God.
Well,
I'm real confused about somehow during this pandemic, opinions have become facts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
so
funny
confused.
how that works. Yeah, dude. I don't know.
know.
That's where I'm like, at least now, like my TikTok algorithm is just cats and like food.
Cats and weird people.
Yeah, cats, weird people, food, exercises.
I get a lot of kids and old ladies.
Oh, I don't get either of those.
Yeah. I love children and old people. So.
It's so funny. Like, again, here, well, this is a good topic switch. Like chatting with my clients at the gym, the clients that I know that are like active on TikTok. By active, I mean just consume it like I do. And like, I'm bad about making videos, but I'm good at watching them. Of kind of contrasting and comparing what our algorithms were. Like, I had a client who listens to this podcast, so you'll probably... hey, let me know when you hear this. But brought up that she was seeing like everything like Rush Week, like all sorority stuff from her on her TikTok. I'm like, I'm not seeing any of that. I saw a little bit of it, but I'm not seeing a lot of it. And then I asked somebody else that I know, I'm like, are you getting a lot of like sorority girl stuff? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh man, like I wonder. And then I'm seeing TikTok videos of people that are talking about how all they're seeing is sorority videos. And I'm like, isn't this just a weird way for us to all communicate of like, we can understand who we are as people based on our social media algorithm of like what kind of things that we think are funny or find interesting or useful. And like, I don't know, I'm not dating, but it feels like that's almost like your dating question instead of like being like, what's your favorite movie? But like, what kind of videos show up on your TikTok algorithm?
Yeah. Let me scroll through your algorithm here.
Oh, I wonder if people do that.
My boyfriend just downloaded TikTok because of me.
Oh, bad influence.
I know. But I'm so excited to see what kind of shit pops up on his.
Oh, yeah. When first it's just going to be like all hot chicks and stuff.
Probably not.
No? What do you think? What would you guess his algorithm will be? Let's learn about your boyfriend.
Oh, I don't know. It might depend on the shit I send him, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we send each other funny animal TikToks. I don't know. I could see his being a lot of, like, dudes doing dumb stuff.
Like jackass sort of stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do follow Steve-O. And it's funny because I'm like a similar age of all of them. And I'm like, oh my God, I like grew up watching Jackass and all these dudes have gray hair now. I'm like, oh God. I'm old.
I know.
Like, oh man, old lady status.
You're so old.
I'm getting there, man. That's where like turning 39 a couple weeks ago. I'm like, well.
Holy shit.
39, huh? All right.
39 and looking fine.
Oh, shoot. You know it.
That's what's up, boo-boo.
And that's where it's funny. For my birthday, my friend Kelly, who I was doing a morning show with in Denver a decade ago, and I posted this on Instagram. Follow me and you can pound this. That, so we went on this. I had just started at that station, which was KYGO in Denver. It was my first country station. And there was a steam engine train ride from Denver to Cheyenne, Wyoming to go to a rodeo. And it was like this like legit like cool ass train with like bar cars and like it was awesome. I'd never done anything like that before, like the old like what you would think of like 1800s cool ass train. And so or the train from Back to the Future 3, if we want to do old references. And so, which is the shittiest Back to the Future movie, in my opinion, come at me. And so we went on this train ride, and at the end, they took like a physical picture of us together. And I remember I hated it. I was so mad. It was like a full body picture, and it was a physical picture, and she kept it. And at the time, I was just like, I hate this thing. I hate that it's not in my possession. I can't destroy it. Like, I could delete pictures of myself. I hope she doesn't post it online. Like, it really bothered me, but I never said anything to her about it. And then as kind of going through my whole journey and everything, I was like, man, I wish I had that picture now. I wish I wouldn't have just been like such a bitch to myself and being like, you know, I hate this and I wish it was destroyed. I'm curious what it looks like. I remember taking it. I remember hating it. I don't remember what it looks like of like, what did I hate so freaking much? And so I was on a phone conversation with her earlier this year because I'm the personal trainer for her cat on her, on her morning show in New York City. And, I was like, hey, do you remember having this picture taken? Do you know if you, I'm like, this is a stretch, but do you know if you have that picture? And she's just like, well, I doubt it. And so for my birthday, she found it and she sent it to me. And I was like, oh my God, one, I don't remember this outfit. And I got my camera bag on me because I was really into photography at the time. And I saw that. I'm like, why did I hate this so much? Like, I acted like this was the worst thing on earth, that I'm like, I hope this never sees the light of day. Just murder me in the street if anybody sees this picture of me. And I'm like, God, I'm so mean to myself. Like, for what? And so to be in a place where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to slap this up on the internet now. I don't know. It's just crazy to think. And then, you know, I thanked her for that. We just both discussed of like how much can change in a decade. That was literally taking in August of 2011, I started my New Year's resolution and started just becoming, you know, a better version of myself, a healthier version of myself at the beginning of 2012, of just be like, my God, in 10 years, how much you can just completely change your life. At that point, I hadn't moved to Oregon yet. Then I didn't move to Cincinnati. I didn't do all of these things in my career. I hadn't, you know, run marathons and summited mountains and met all these amazing people yet. And, you know, people like you that are in my life now, like, my God, like, damn, like your life can change so freaking much. And I know a 10 years is a long amount of time considering, but it's like, there's some people that stuff doesn't really change that much. And it's like, well, we have the power to change all of these things of, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but I think that we all think that we have like a 5-year plan when you're asked that question a lot, or where do you want to be, or where do you see yourself in a year? And especially if you're talking about like health and fitness goals or whatever, of like, well, what are your, and it's just kind of like I think that there has to be some sort of goal in mind. And I think the smaller goals thing is a better opinion of mine, because it's like, you have no idea what the hell's going to happen. If you would have talked to me when that picture was taken, and I was thinking this, if I could sit there and talk to myself, be like, yo, in a decade from now, you're going to quit radio and you're going to be a personal trainer and you're going to have a podcast and you're going to do all that. I'd be like, you are on crack. You have just smoked a crack rock. There is like, there's no absolute way. So I don't know. It's just been something that I've been thinking about over the last week, from her sending me that picture of just like, man, of how much you can just really kind of shape and mold your life to whatever you want it to be, good or bad, and health or fitness or not, or just anything, of like, you're kind of in charge of that. And like, just amazing thing. I mean, not to say that shitty things didn't happen in the last decade. A lot of shitty things happened, but it's like, I don't know if I'm making sense or I'm rambling here. I promise I'm sober, but
no, you are. She is sober, everyone. No, but it's true. You never know like what's going to happen.
Yeah.
At all. Like at the beginning of this year, if you had told me I was going to be dating this amazing guy, I would have been like, oh, you're so funny.
Yeah,
so
right.
Hilarious. But it's like, you never know, even like day to day, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So.
And that's where it's just like, we could have never predicted COVID. Obviously, we can't predict where the hell all this stuff is going and whatever. So it's just got to be, I think, a level of kind of have a direction, but you also kind of let it go and roll with the punches of like, oh, well, I'm not achieving the goals I thought I would. I thought I would be doing blank, and I'm not. Instead of being like, I'm a piece of trash and I'm a turd for it, be like, well, I'm adapting in the best way possible. And that sometimes isn't ideal, but it's like, me and you have talked about this with like binge eating and emotional eating, of like, was that the ideal response to trauma that we've had in our life? Like, no, there's definitely healthier coping mechanisms and stuff like that, but it was what we adapted to, and it made us survive, and we got through it. So it's like, yeah, so I'm not mad about binge eating and telling myself that you just have no control and no motivation. It's like, no, that helped you survive through a hard situation, and that's how you adapted through it. And now that we're through that, now we can reevaluate how we move through life from here. And I think that's so much the same. I mean, we're all in trauma right now with everything going on. So it's like, how are we adapting to this? And it doesn't have to be a level of perfection or what we thought we should be doing or what we should, quote unquote, should be doing. It's just like, what do I got to do to feel good and make it through? And I don't know. It feels like that we're all still just doing this. So go hard, be like a perfectionist sort of thing in a world that's not conducive to that.
Yeah. Well, it's like we all just have to be really kind to ourselves right now. Like, I think we're all literally doing the best that we can.
Yeah.
So, and that's okay.
Yeah. So, man,
yeah.
It's wild out there. I'm sorry you're having a hard
we wildin'.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a weird winter. Like,
woo!
Can't see how things go. But I mean, other than that, I mean, both of us, we've had like pretty good years. I mean, you met your mans, and
I got a promo.
Yeah, I got a promotion at work, and there's a lot of like good stuff too, which is, I don't know. It's so easy to focus on like, this sucks and this is horrible, instead of being like, oh, well, that thing happened and this was pretty cool. For me, of like, oh, I got a concussion and that totally screwed stuff up and cost a butt ton of money, and now I might have Lyme disease and now I got to deal with that. Well, that's real fun. What's next? Instead of being like, well, that's life. Shit happens.
Like when I backed my car into the pole, I was like, well, shit happens. I'm not dead. My car's still drivable. Surprisingly, I didn't even cry about it.
That's good.
I was just like, meh. We're in a pandemic. Worse things could happen.
Well, now you get to drive a Nissan and see how that feels.
I don't like the rental car.
I
feel like I'm taking care of someone else's child,
Do you drive your boyfriend's car?
I never have, but he drives like a Jeep.
Okay.
So I'm not really trying to drive a big car.
Gotcha.
He's driven my car only a couple times because it was like raining and he went and got my car.
Oh,
Such a gentleman. Oh my God. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I probably would never drive his car.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
because it's big. I drive a little Kia Forte. So like even this Nissan Sentra feels like a rocket ship to me. Like it feels big.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Like I'm so paranoid pulling it into my garage. I'm like, oh.
Oh, at least you're not doing this in the wintertime whenever you get like stuck in your garage because of ice. So
Oh Lord.
again, silver lining that you wrecked your car in the summer and not during winter months. Although, I mean, we've been having some pretty mild winters. And so that's where I'm like, I don't even know if we're going to get like snowstorms this. Now I'm going to say that I'm going to jinx ourselves, but it's like.
Yeah, please don't.
I don't know. It's.
Then I'm going to be Ubering to work again. So.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, this summer has been like, well, we had a couple nice days of it, brutally hot. And that's where I had to get Grizzy, had to get a shave down. My cat Grizzy, my one-eyed fella.
Oh, little Grizz.
He feels so much better where I'm like, oh, that kind of like tempts me to shave my head. I kind of like, I'm still kind of, no, you don't think so? I shouldn't shave my head?
Your hair is so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. But it's such a pain in the ass. And it's all over the gym. Like, oh, I feel so bad.
When I was working out there, I would find your hair sometimes.
Yeah, my hair is everywhere. So, and I like pull my hair off of clients, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm sorry, like I just shed so much. I don't mean to shed so much. I don't know what's wrong.
Next time we hang out, I'm bringing a lint roller.
Yeah. I don't know what it is like that. So much of it is falling out. I've had problems before. I don't really have this as much now. When I've had specifically one job I started, it was so high stress that my hair was coming out in clumps. I didn't like have bald spots or anything, but it was like an excessive amount of hair was coming out in the shower. And I don't really have that now. It's just kind of during the day. I think it's just because I just have so much hair.
Yeah, you have a lot of hair. You're probably shedding a normal amount of hair. You just have a lot of hair.
Yeah. That's where I'm like, oh, it sounds kind of fun to shave it out. The only thing stopping me from shaving my head is just the grow out process. Because it took me almost 2 damn years to grow out that undercut. And I'm like, I can't live through this with my whole head.
Yeah. And then you just have lots of weird haircuts and weird grow out phases.
Yeah. Have you had any clients that are just like shave my whole head that are women?
No, I had one client come in who she shaved her head during COVID and just let her gray hair grow out.
Oh, right on.
And I was like, hell yeah. Like, I'm sure that it's very empowering to shave your head, but I also like never gonna happen. So
I'm not putting it out there. And it was I'm also picking up the art that Bloom did of me when I had my pink hair and I did my like outdoor boudoir shot.
Yes.
And so I'm kind of tempted too of like, ooh, that was fun having pink hair. I wonder if I should do another fun color. So maybe if you want to think about that, if you think would be like a fun, cool color. I don't know. I've already done pink, so I'm not sure what I would do next.
Pink is the easiest one to get out.
Is blue hard to get out?
Blue is the worst.
Oh, okay.
Blue and green, they will jack your life up.
Oh, no. What about purple?
Purple generally fades out pretty well.
Okay.
Pink and purple tend to be the easiest.
Maybe purple is next. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
That's all I'm going to
You'd be purping.
Get that, and I'm going to get my, like, fake Amazon arm sleeve tattoo.
Not a fake one.
But I got to see if I like it first.
Get a real one.
Yo, you going to pay for it?
No.
Start a GoFundMe so I can get a sleeve?
Amanda wants a full sleeve. Venmo me.
I'm having a hard enough time thinking about just the next tattoo I want to get just as one. I can't think of a whole arm piece. I don't know. But that's why I kind of want to get the Amazon one to try it.
Oh, God.
I think I can now. I don't think I have anything important coming up where I would meet somebody and they're like, oh, God.
What's wrong with that?
She's got a big flaming skull on her arm.
My next tattoo is going to be Sebastian.
Oh, my God. Just his face or his whole little cute cat body?
His little face. His little face. I I love him.
Are you gonna give him as a tramp stamp?
No.
Where are you gonna
get him by my vag? Where else are you gonna put the cat? You know?
Fair.
Yeah.
Make sure you put him in a spot where he can have some whiskers.
Yeah. Shoot.
Oh my God. All right. Well, thank you for catching up and all that fun stuff, and enjoy the rest of your day off. And I guess
All right, girl.
we'll catch up later.
All right. Bye, boo-boo.
AmandaValentineBites.com